Welcome to AIDA. Now, for those of you that are familiar, AIDA is a marketing term that stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. So, in order for you to have a successful marketing campaign, a successful video, or any piece of content, it needs to have these four qualities, these four aspects. First and foremost is attention. So, what is attention? Attention is your ability to hook the audience right away. In today's world, people have very, very short attention spans. You really need to get your hook into the person in the first 3 to 6 seconds. I will also show you ways you can do that in this course. So first and foremost is attention. You have to have content that is interesting. Now, this has to be about the audience, not about the product, and actually solve a problem for the person watching it. So just like all marketing, your brochures, your content, your website, none of it should be about your company. It should all be about what problem you're helping solve for the user. It's not about you, it's about them, 100%. So a great piece of content will be inherently interesting to the user because it's about them and it helps to solve a problem for them. The next piece is desire. Now, out of all the pieces, I think this is by far the trickiest and by far the most difficult to get just right. This is where branding comes in very heavily. So let's look at what desire really is. Desire makes the person want your product or your service. It makes them want it, not think they should buy it. It's not an intellectual thing. It's an entirely emotional thing. People want things not because they need them. Almost all your needs are taken care of. There's nothing that you really need. So every time you go out and you make a purchase, you're buying that because you want to. So let me share a couple of tricks with you now. If you ever turn on the television and you watch a newscast, you'll notice that the anchors have a lot of personality. They're very likable. They show a lot of emotion. So one of the tricks that you can use is to show emotion and to show a lot of personality in all of your content. Showing personality makes you relatable. It makes you trustable. And inherently, when people trust you, they lower their guards. They allow themselves to want. Conversely, when people are in a state of judgment, they're thinking about what you're saying or they're thinking about the message that you're giving them. It makes it very hard for them to want. So what you have to do is you have to get them from their left side, their logical brain, into their right side, their emotional brain. And one of the best ways to do that is through personality, by being emotional, by sharing, and by being goofy, funny, and out of the box. So if you could emulate those things and you could bring them into your video, not only will it make your video more interesting, but it will also make people want your actual products more because they're letting their guard down. Second is branding. So what does the brand stand for or mean? What is the one core value that you are selling? And this core value is almost never going to be the product. For example, the core value of BMW isn't that it's a car that gets you from point A to point B. The core value of a Rolex isn't that it can help you tell time. The core value of an Apple computer has very little to do with the fact that it's a computer. All these different brands actually represent something to the buyer, something that they want to possess. And it's oftentimes not the actual item. I can buy 100 different types of computers, or cars, or watches. Instead, I like BMW, Rolex, and Apple. Why is that? Well, Apple stands for something. Apple stands for innovation through design. Rolex also stands for something. It stands for excellence. And BMW stands for the ultimate driving experience. So if I want to have a great experience in driving, I'll buy a BMW. If I want to get from point A to point B, I might take a taxi. Now, your value, this core value, better be unique. You can't go and borrow someone else's core value because that core value already belongs to them and it's already in people's minds that's what they do. For example, the thing that Crest sold was fighting cavities. If you wanted to fight cavities, you would buy Crest. Naturally, when other toothpaste came on the market, they couldn't take fighting cavities because it was already taken. So what did they do? They created new categories. Some of them came out with fresh breath, whitening, and now baking soda. So you can kind of see just by through that example that you can take something like toothpaste, which is an area that's already dominated by, say, someone like Crest, And you can create niches within that area where you're selling something other than toothpaste. You're selling white teeth, or you're selling fresh breath, fighting cavities. So the core value of your product is going to be the solution that it's helping solve. The branding is very, very important because it is that core value that the person that's watching the video is going to want to buy. So you have to illustrate that core value. Last but not least is action. You have to have a clear, simple value proposition and a clear call to action. You need to call it out. You need to be very blatant about it without being gimmicky, without using superlatives. Things aren't great and amazing and beautiful. They are what they are. So you call it like it is, and you offer a clear value proposition for the user. Ultimately, your video or any marketing material needs to go down this line. It needs to start with grabbing and hooking that person right away, getting their attention. Next, it needs to keep their interest and induce desire. And then finally, it induces the action. And that's how you know you have a successful video.